So they needed people who had to stick to it, who were determined, and who would say nothing is impossible and
Yeah.
will be able to install the project even given so many obstacles. And that's
Mm.
what I think I presented to them. And one after another, I was asked to lead another pioneering project, another pioneering. So it was because of a specific ability that I had that matched the times, the specific requirements of the jobs in those times when there were no successful examples yet.
Mm.
So that is why maybe it didn't matter whether I was a woman or a man, I had that quality
Mm.
of not saying no to anything and being determined to install something, hell or high water, something like that.
Mm.
So to me, the merit question of who to pick as a leader is who has that specific ability that meets the specific requirement.
Good day, dear viewers. We're back. So I'm glad that you stuck around because today is episode 5 of season 18. And this time, we're going to be asking the question: who is better suited to lead, men or women? Now, we have our returning guest, Carol Esguerra Colborn, who will be telling us more about it. Uh, Carol?
Yeah, okay. First off, I would just like to say this is an apolitical session.
Yeah.
Okay? Because some people think because I'm asking this, because a man and a woman are vying for the presidency of the US, one of the comments in my blog was very political. So it's not my intention to do that. But
Yes.
if you read something, into the article and the messaging, it's okay. But actually, the it will show at the end the conclusion that it really doesn't matter.
Mm,
The gender is not what is important.
true.
My story, I begin in that article with my story and how I became to be a leader.
Mm,
Anyway, it was not because I was a woman. Well, no, yes, I started my journey with IBM, being
mm,
its first female marketing representative. IBM wanted to implement the Economic Employment Opportunity Program in the Philippines, which was in full swing in the US,
mm.
because the US had laws about making sure the female population is represented in all sorts of jobs and
Equal
professions.
opportunity. Mm,
Yes, equal opportunity employment. That was the main thing in the U.S. And IBM as a multinational company had to implement it in all their subsidiaries. So with the Philippines, so the only place where IBM didn't have women was in the marketing representative, the sales force. Its
mm.
sales force had been always manned by men. Okay.
True.
So I was hired to be its first marketing representative, and I sold large mainframe computers to banking
Wow.
CEOs.
Those
That's
would be
actually
the
had got into MegaLink maybe.
yung pa yung mga AS400 ano?
Yeah,
Ay
no,
hindi ba?
even
Even
farther than
oh my
that.
gosh,
Yeah,
okay.
way behind. Yeah,
Okay.
mainframes talaga. IBM S360. AS400
Wow.
is the next generation. Is the next
Okay.
generation.
Ah,
That's what we had to sell, those big ones.
mm,
Okay. So and so therefore, after that, I was invited to be a manager in the Institute of Advanced Computer Technology. So it's like I already had an imprint. Oh,
yeah.
this must be a special person. IBM hired her. So
Mm,
I was hired as a marketing manager of IAC. It was my
mm,
first managerial role. And I
mm,
had to hire 3 people to be under me. I was so excited. I mean, it was my first management job, and I was going to be able to do things not just by myself, but by leading others, managing others to do it for me. It was a great experience.
mm.
And after that, one thing led to another until I became, CEO and all these things. And
Wow.
my whole managed leadership, I matured as a leader through all of
Mm-mm.
these experiences. But and then I asked myself, actually, I went to this topic because a journalist asked me for an interview about the award as a
Mm.
woman technology leader. Is it the same now for in the Philippines as before during my time? Are women afforded the same opportunities?
Yeah.
Have they become equal to men? And
Mm.
let me just say, no, we are not yet equal to men.
Mm.
During my time, for example, the CEO of IBM, of Sun Life of Canada, and Convergys, and SAP, that's me, we were all women.
Oh, I didn't know that. Mm.
Today, only one of those organizations has a woman leader, IBM.
Okay.
Eileen Haya. So all the other three are men. So I told him, I don't think so. And actually, a study of McKinsey,
Mm.
2023 study of McKinsey, said that the CEOs and CTOs of technology companies have declined in women leadership. It's actually a study has already confirmed that there is a decline in women leadership. So it's my response to that journalist is no, it has not improved. It has actually declined.
Mm.
But then I told myself I looked at my experience and I asked, was it really did it really matter the gender? I mean, was it during my time they wanted to give women a chance? And we all failed. That's why we're no longer there. No, that's not true. What I experienced was that I was hired in all those leadership positions because of one specific ability, and that is grit and determination.
Mm.
Yun bang stick-to-itiveness and there's nothing is impossible. Because that was the time. Those were the times when there were no examples yet of
Mm.
successful computerization. So they needed people who had to stick to it, who were determined and who would say nothing is impossible and
Yeah.
will be able to install the project even given so many obstacles. And that's
Mm.
what I think I presented to them. And one after another, I was asked to lead another pioneering project, another pioneering. So it was because of a specific ability that I had that matched the times, the specific requirements of the jobs in those times when there were no successful examples yet.
Mm.
So that is why maybe it didn't matter whether I was a woman or a man, I had that quality
Mm.
of not saying no to anything and being determined to install something hell or high water, something like that. So
Mm.
so to me, the merit question of who to pick as a leader is who has that specific ability that meets the specific requirement of the
Mm.
job.
Mm.
Because anybody, whether a man or a woman, would have specific abilities about leadership, and they would have the general qualifications of being able to communicate, decide, solve problems, all and control expenses and things like that. So they everybody can have all those abilities, but then there might be specific job requirements that specific persons might have. And I was lucky that I had a specific ability during the time when people were just pioneering the applications.
Mm.
I come from humble beginnings. I rationalized, where did I get that thing? Where did I get com- that thing, that grit and determination? Where did I get? I come from humble beginnings.
Mm.
We were in the we were living in the slums of Sampaloc, and I just had to forge ahead to get out of poverty. And
Mm.
I think that is what was inside me, the burning thing inside me at that time.
A question I'd like to pose to you, Carol, is this: I have known some of your siblings through the years, and I have been a great admirer of them. Um, is it possible that DNA has something to do with it because my one of my bosses in the past, a titan in her own right, was the late Ellen Esguerra.
Yes.
She was a mover and a shaker, and man, when she spoke, people listened.
Yeah.
And then there's Julie Esguerra,
Yeah.
who is into sign language and helping the deaf mute communicate better.
Yeah.
Required strong leadership as well. And
Yeah.
I also know Vic, who in his own right is a great leader. And you know,
It is in the DNA.
okay, there you go.
Well, again, it's like what I said. I talked about my background, what gave us this grit and determination, our background of having to strive, and the examples given by our parents. My mother, especially my mother, was a real. She had grit and determination. She worked up to the last day of her life
Wow.
with her portable oxygen tank, and she worked that day, and then in the evening she she had a problem and her lungs burst. So she was in the hospital and didn't come home anymore.
Mm.
But she worked up to the last day. She had that grit and we all learned from her example.
Mm. You know
Yes.
what? I'd have to agree with that because my own mother uh, does not want to ever retire.
Yeah.
and and I think yeah, in her case, it's because she also came from humble beginnings. She became a
Yes.
single parent, and that caused me to have a view of what women are capable of. Because if
Yeah.
there's one thing that marks her, it's that she never knew she couldn't do it. And so, whatever it was that she got, whether it was for Sun Life and becoming a quota queen,
Yeah.
looking at the weather, it looks like it's going to rain. Ah, is the best time to sell because no one else will be out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Until she became the leader of Toastmasters, being district
Masters.
governor, later on with PMAP, being active there.
Yeah.
She just juggled so many things, and
Yeah.
I don't think she'll ever retire. She reminds me of Queen Elizabeth, and that's why look, King Charles looks so old now,
Yeah.
waiting for his turn. Um,
Yeah.
so okay, levity aside, though, the points you made are very very useful because they talk about leadership being a non-gender issue. I mean, anybody can lead if they have the grit, if they have the resiliency, the vision. For you, what what is the future going to look like for women in leadership roles? Because as you pointed out, there are less
It's
now.
sad. Yeah, it's sad. Like the statistics in the U.S., 27% of Congress is occupied by women. The seats in Congress, only 27. In the Philippines, it's 25%, about the same.
Ah,
So yeah, so we are not yet equal to men. In the private sector, only about 8% of the CEOs in the U.S. are women.
mm,
We are doing better in the Philippines, 20% in the Philippines. And I attribute that to the fact that the tradition of women in leadership is better in the Philippines. We're a more matriarchal society. We consider our women as really capable leaders
mm,
more than the US. It all surveys point to that our preference for women leaders is higher here than in the Philippines and in the US. But in the academe, there are 30% of academe leaders are women. But the
mm,
Philippines, no, sadly, it's in the academe where we're suffering. So we are not yet there.
mm,
The women are still chasing the tail and are still behind men in terms of even salary, equality in salary or anything like that. Um, However, there is also a study in the US that senior leadership positions are being opened a lot to women now. Why? because the study shows that the more diverse the leadership uh, level, this leadership strata of a company is, the more successful the company becomes. Meaning, it has all the perspectives in its leadership profile, then the more successful the company is.
Mm.
Therefore, the senior leadership positions are being open to women now. In which case, if they are being open more to women now, then it's just a matter of time and the women will become leaders soon because in the senior leadership positions, they can show their mettle.
Mm.
And
Mm.
they will be able to have a chance to show their mettle. So it's probably just a matter of time, but we are not yet there. Even though we had our right to vote many, many decades ago,
Yeah,
everybody
right.
felt we gained our equality with men. No, we are not. And
Mm.
we are not yet. And as I said, in the tech sector, it's even going into the decline.
Mm.
That is a very interesting point that you posited right now because I think in terms of um, Merkel in Germany, Indira Gandhi in India, I think of Margaret Thatcher in the UK.
Italy, Meloni,
Yeah, and in Italy.
Meloni in Italy.
Uh, they all had great terms and they all remembered well. Their legacies are very safe.
Yeah.
Why don't we let more women run countries? Maybe we'd be further away from the brink of disaster. uh,
Well, the stereotypical perspective of women in leadership is that they are more nurturing and compassionate,
mm. And
while men,
relational, yeah.
yeah, while men are more decisive and assertive.
Mm.
In U.S. culture, the decisiveness and assertiveness is more valued in individualistic societies. But in the Philippines or in the Eastern cultures, the harmony and the relationship building is more valued, and therefore the tradition of women in leadership will prosper more. Should prosper more in the Philippines and other Eastern cultures.
Mm.
And so I hope that we can have a woman president again. We missed the boat with Lenny Robredo.
Yeah,
Uh,
I know.
yeah, that's. So I hope we can have another woman leader in the Philippines because we should lead. We should lead the world in that aspect.
We,
Um,
w- I have a question for you because this leads to a very interesting subtopic. How do you think DEI or diversity, equity, and inclusivity will
inclusiveness.
influence the selection of women leaders?
It will not. You know that the AI is in decline. It's being done away with now.
Ah, okay.
Became political that it is negative
Mm-mm.
because of the decline of the current administration in the standing. It's not as popular. The policies prove to be, less effective in economic development and all those things. So DEI is being done away now. Budgets are being thrown away. It's no longer. So it's not going to be there. It didn't help it. It became a negative thing. So it's got to be more examples of women showing their mettle,
Mm.
succeeding, and I don't know why in technology the decline is there, but I think it's because we are going through a an inflection point in technology with AI. I can't. It's my thinking that it will become the next leadership in IT development will become a leadership in AI development award later. It
Mm.
will no longer be IT. We're done with that. IT is all encompassing. It's all pervasive. It's there. It's assumed to be
Mm.
there. It's now going to be the era of AI, and that is what is going to be a new. It's a new inflection point, and therefore, right now, because there's a new inflection point, they want more directive and assertive leaders.
Mm.
And we are getting more now into that but pretty soon, because the women are more assertive and compassionate, I think the Philippines is really more suited to having women leaders. Why? Because our technology sector is not really a technology sector. We don't have we're not a supply side economy for technology. The supply side of technology is in the US, in the
Right.
developed country.
Yeah.
We are demand centric technology sector, meaning, like I wrote in the article, things like Concentrix or Grab or Shopee or Lazada, which are tech demand centric technology companies.
Mm.
They're not supply side technology companies. They're demand centric technology companies. And those are the companies that should have women leaders because the women leaders are more nurturing, more compassionate, and I feel more imaginative about relationships and situations that they can be actually tapped into the service, demand centric service sectors, and
Mm.
not just for the local needs, but for export driven needs, for global demands. So I think women leaders in the Philippines must be exploited this way. Somebody up there must strategize about this.
Indeed. Um, I would like to share with our viewers that uh, please give Carol's blog a visit. Again, for the benefit of our viewers who weren't able to watch our episode 4, Carol has a blog where she writes all of her articles related to leadership. So I'll give Carol a chance to promote it again.
Not really leadership. Actually, I write about 5 topics in the blog.
Okay.
I write about love and friendship,
Wow.
retirement and renewal,
Okay.
health and longevity, okay, and governance and management, where leadership is a part. And what is the fifth? Retirement and renewal. Oh, okay. So there are 5. Travel and leisure.
Mhm.
The one I started with, travel and leisure.
Mhm.
So that blog used to be a travel and leisure blog, but then I have put in more of my passions and interests. And so I write about 5 topics. Because I received the award from the UP Alumni Association in leadership in IT development, it inspired me to write. So the next 6 articles, I'm now writing the 6th article on the leadership series and governance and management. And I don't know when I will stop and return to the other topics. But
Okay.
so I've written 600 articles in that
Wow.
blog.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
So most of them are in travel and leisure. But
Mm.
since I'm doing less of traveling now, it's going to be more on retirement and renewal, health and longevity, and leadership and governance and management. So this will become, so it's a 5 topic blog.
Oh my goodness. You know what that means, Carol? When your schedule permits, we'd love to have you back because you have so much to share. Oh my goodness. And the people who don't check out your blog would be foolish not to because there's so much to learn from it. You know, all those 5 topics, it's not just about leadership. So, ladies and gentlemen, Carol follows in the fine tradition of many of the women leaders that we have interviewed on this show. She is herself a shiro. Yeah, a shiro, just like Monica Maralit, Pags Corpus, and all.
Hero.
Shiro is the term coined by Monica Maralit, one of our guests on the show. She wrote a book compiling all of the women leaders in the Philippines and abroad of Filipina origin.
Oh,
You know what? That gives me an idea. I should reach out to her and say, hey, invite Carol to write an article for your second edition of Becoming Sheroes because she's a pioneer. And
so is it an SHERO? Yes.
Shereos. Yeah, Sheroes. Yeah.
Heroes.
The,
Okay.
uh, I'll give you a link later to where
Okay.
you can get look at her book. It's Becoming Sheroes by Monica
Okay.
Maralit. Yeah. So
Thank you. Thank you.
Again, Carol, thank you so much for taking the time to be on our show. And ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here. We're not necessarily saying men are better or women are better. We are saying that the situation, whatever it requires, is what it requires. If it happens to be requiring women or requiring men, then we should be willing to give them a chance to take leadership reins. I think of people like Defensor, people like Robredo, presidents who should have been but never were.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm so grateful to Carol for this opportunity to give voice to that need to give women more roles in leadership and in society. So thank you so much, Carol, again, our viewers and our fellow hosts. Thank you for taking time out. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you heard for today's episode, do please leave a comment. I'm sure you have some things to say, and let us know what you think. And if you have some ideas about what we should be doing or topics that we should be having for future episodes, we're open. Also, don't forget to click like, share, and subscribe. That would be sublime. And so, for all of you out there, our upcoming episode will be from our sister show called Tip Talks, where we put together a panel of Toastmasters who will be analyzing the now famous or infamous Trump versus Harris debate. And so we will be analyzing the merits of how they argue their cases. And if you want to see what we think about it, do wait for that particular episode. And as ever, learning is a never ending journey with limitless vistas.